What is going on, everybody? And I am definitely frozen, so that's never good. Okay, he's back. What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the greatest combat sports and culture show in the entire universe of Fight Podcast. If you have joined today, you are in luck because it is not just a Fight Podcast. It is episode 4 of Guru's Corner. This week in boxing with my brother B-Cam. Brother B-Cam, what it do, man? Welcome to the show.
What's good? It is your boy B-Cam, aka the Guru. Put some respect on my name. Happy to be back per the usual. Can you hear me all right?
I hear you great, brother.
All right, perfect. Yeah, happy to be back. We got a lot to talk about. The woman is going off this week in the UK. Hopefully, we got a lot to talk about today, so I'm excited to get into it. While we doing this while Thursday Night Football is on, I would just want y'all to know the sacrifice I will make to be here with you every single time I need to.
Yo, we appreciate you because we already know you're probably a GM of like 4 teams right now. Everything, 3 teams, everything makes sense right now. So we got every moment is precious. So we'll go ahead and do this to you. So we appreciate you coming on the show. You are our boxing aficionado. You are that dude. So we appreciate you coming on the show today. And like you did mention before, we are going to go ahead and talk about the fight, Savannah Marshall, Clarissa Shields. Hopefully it's supposed to go down this weekend in the UK. Unfortunately, I'm sure most of us have heard. If you're under a rock, maybe you have not. But the Queen has unfortunately, however you feel about it, has passed away. I don't have strong feelings.
Someone tell Stacey Dash.
Yo, Stacey gonna find out in like 3 years. What? The Queen? What happened? Like, yo, the way she went on. I'm sorry to DMX. I love DMX. She was boohooing like that shit happened yesterday. It was wild, but Stacey Dash has always been one that is wild. But we're going to go ahead and
by that time, she'll be like fully transitioned. She won't be black anymore.
Bro, she was looking very Sammy Sosa out there, wasn't she?
Yeah, Sammy Sosa, Mike, MJ,
Man, bro. I don't know if she got the vitiligo or whatever it is, but that is not a good look. But regardless,
she been out there fucking with the Republicans. You know how she get down,
bro. Absolutely, man, bro.
That's my last Stacey Dash show. I'm killing her too much today.
It's okay. We can kill. Most times I'm here for killing Stacey Dash, but it's all right. All right, but let's talk about that. We also
Clueless
have to talk about
Stacey Dash. She's safe.
Clueless Stacey Dash
safe.
Is goated. Okay. Hey,
I'm all falls down Stacey Dash. She's also safe.
Absolutely. But after that, after the 90s, it was over. It's like 98 hit and she forgot what happened. I don't know what it was. I was still a young buck. I was 12. I was still in my growth. It seems like she stopped. But we're not going to continue bashing this crazy person because the Queen died. So we're not going to go ahead and do that. But we're also going to go ahead and talk about Andy Ruiz as well as his fight against Luis Ortiz and that this weekend, that card. And we'll probably touch on, honestly, some of the biggest fight news of the week, Jake Paul, Anderson Silva, and so much more. If you are watching live right now on YouTube, thank you so much for joining us live. You can watch us each and every week right here on YouTube. Check us out on the Fight Podcast. Listen to us also, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, everywhere podcasting is available. Much appreciated. Check us out there. Also, make sure you go ahead and grab some merch. We got merch, and it is fire. All right. Let's jump into it real quick before we can get into the fight this weekend. Let's talk about the fight this last weekend. Luis Ortiz took on Andy Ruiz Jr. Andy Ruiz, I don't know if he airbrushed some abs for some pictures. He didn't have them during the fight, but he still had them quick-ass hands. He ends up getting the dub against Luis Ortiz, but it was an entertaining fight. B, did you get a chance to check that out?
Yeah, I did get a chance to check it out. Speaking of his weight, I don't think that was on him. So I actually heard Andy Ruiz do an interview prior to the fight. He mentioned that he was back at the weight that he was for that first Joshua fight. That's where he feels comfortable. He feels like when he fought Areola, he got too caught up in the looks and trying to look a certain way, and that deteriorated his skills a little bit. He said he got back to his normal weight. He felt great at that weight, and he looked like it in the ring. So no fat shaming on this day. We'll save that for another day, because if he shows up like he did in the second fight, we might have some words for you, but he's fine. Okay, now let's get into the fight. Good fight overall. I think
it was a really entertaining fight overall.
I think
it was entertaining.
It's a heavyweight fight, and per the usual, we're going to want a knockout in a heavyweight fight. I just think that's the mindset because those big guys are in there punching so hard. The guys that were in there as well, we also do expect, maybe not Andy Ruiz as much, but from a Luis Ortiz standpoint, I do expect a knockout at some point in time in the fight. That's just how I think. And that's fine. They didn't get to the knockout. Now, X's and O's. Andy Ruiz looks good early. He drops Luis Ortiz, I think, twice in the second and maybe once in the 6th round.
That second knockout in the second shouldn't have been a knockdown, personally.
Should not have been a knockdown.
Should not have been. No.
And I don't have the scores in front of me, but it was a close fight in the card, so that knockout actually does matter.
Made a huge difference, yeah.
Andy Ruiz.
I'll get my POV in a second.
To me, Andy Ruiz looked decent. I'd say like an 8 out of 10 in terms of my expectations. In the first half of the fight, he faltered, especially with some of the activity down the stretch. I think Luis Ortiz, you're talking about a 43-year-old man. And I don't want to get into the allegedly jokes, but we know what it is with Luis Ortiz. But he's a 43-year-old man. He was dropped by Charles Martin this year. I think Andy Ruiz was also dropped by Arreola. I don't know if that was this year or last year, but he was dropped by
beginning of the year, I believe. Yeah.
He was dropped by Arreola. But like, this is Luis Ortiz, he's an older fighter. He's not who he used to be when he was in his early 30s, when he was in his 20s. True. He's 43 now. And so Andy Ruiz struggled with him at times. He got back up from those knockdowns and rocked Andy Ruiz multiple times in that second round. I think during the fight, I don't think he rocked him at any other point during the fight, but he was able to push the action. He was on the front foot for the most of the fight. And I just don't think that's a good look for an Andy Ruiz that's looking to revive his career. I want to see Andy Ruiz against a 43-year-old Luis Ortiz for something that's going to get me excited. He needs to be dominating. And yes, his hands look quick early, but the more Luis Ortiz got into the fight, his hands just didn't look as fast to me. They looked good, and I thought he landed some creative shots. That is some of the things I did like. I liked some of the body work as the fight went on. However, I wasn't all that impressed, to be quite honest with you. A decision win, he does the job, he gets the job done. I'm fine with it, but I was not all that impressed. And I know you have a different opinion on it. That's just how I saw it.
I think I disagree completely. I think that you're not giving either athlete the credit that they deserve. First of all, it's absolutely crazy to go out there and specifically think because people are heavyweights, they're supposed to knock each other out. These are two high-level athletes. If they get knocked out, it happens. If it doesn't, it's okay. You know what I'm saying? At least that's how I look at fights. It's like a knockout isn't something that any fighter should be going for. If it happens, it happens. But when you're in there with high-level competition, sometimes people don't get knocked out. It don't matter how heavy the punchers are. You know what I'm saying? You have that. But in terms of the fight itself, again, I don't think you're giving enough credit at all to Luis Ortiz. Yes, he's older. Yes, he's not what he once was. Like, to be very honest with you, y'all so lucky Luis Ortiz isn't 27 years old. He'd wreck all of y'all if he was 27 years old. You know what I mean? He is so skilled. And just the sheer fact, if you still look at him now at 43, he Cuban, he low-key is in his 50s. He's ginormous. He has great skills, fast hands, and look, the shots that he got hit with, I have to give Andy Ruiz credit. He didn't see those shots coming. Andy Ruiz, for being the shorter man, when he does get inside, his countering ability and that overhand right, most athletes don't see it coming. He was able to literally catch him right behind the ear, and both made main knockouts. Again, the second knockout in that third or second round, whatever it was, I don't consider it. It was more of a push than anything else. It shouldn't have been considered a knockdown.
I was a bit torn.
You know what it was more than anything else? It was a continuation of the first knockdown. To be fair.
There was no punch landed, but he was clearly still hurt. So given that he was still hurt, I was like, I didn't necessarily mind them calling it.
I hear you. I'm not mad at that take from it. That makes sense. I understand that. But Andy Ruiz, the way he landed those shots over the top, where his opponent couldn't see him, was beautiful. Outside of that, Luis Ortiz boxed a beautiful fight. He really did. He being the older man, he stayed tall. He was able to hold when he needed to, and he was able to really hurt. And that's the thing. I think that Andy would have tried to go in more often for the kill, but every time he tried to, he got hit with really big leather by a really big southpaw. And if we look at the numbers, I don't think that Ruiz has fought any other southpaws in his career. So the fact that and I think they were talking about that during the fight. So, and I might be wrong on that one, but the fact that he's going in there, having to deal with huge fire coming back on the other end, I think it was a quality fight. To be honest with you, I don't really believe anybody's stock goes down. It's one of those fights. I think when you look at it, look, Luis Ortiz, because of his age, I generally don't know what's next. You can but he's so good, I can still see him fight, and I'm not mad. And then on the other hand, Andy Ruiz, man, what a amazing place he's currently in. If and that fight was for the again, the winner of that fight fights Wilder and Helenius, correct?
Yes.
That's amazing. He gets that fight with Deontay Wilder, and not saying he's going to win, but if he finally gets through that, I mean, he's still in a high-profile fight. So I don't see this being bad in any way, I guess I'm saying.
Yeah, I hear you. The way I see it is that, and the heavyweight division isn't as deep as some of the other divisions in boxing. So
I think Andy Ruiz officially is the third guy at heavyweight right now.
Okay, well, we'll get back to that. I'm not there.
Third or fourth. I'll give him third or fourth. Fourth, probably. Now I think about it. I spoke to Zoom. I give him fourth.
Okay. Damn, lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry,
Damn, Sergio.
I apologize.
Oh, so the way I see it is Andy Ruiz, he gets a fight with the winner of Wilder and I forget the guy's name, but
Helenius, I believe we said.
Wilder and Helenius, and Luis Ortiz gets relegated to the wall. That's kind of how I see it. He becomes a gatekeeper, and that's cool for a guy like Luis Ortiz. We spoke about this a little bit earlier this week.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's totally okay, but like, he came a long way. He had to escape from Cuba, gets here. He's been able to land payday after payday these last few years. He had 2 fights against Wilder. He's had 2 pay-per-views this year. I think Luis Ortiz, I can see exactly how PBC is using him. So any up-and-coming heavyweights, he's still a skillful southpaw. He's going to be a difficult fight for a lot of people. This was not an easy fight for Andy Ruiz by any extent of the imagination. So for any guys coming up, Luis Ortiz is a great fight for them. He's not necessarily a top contender anymore, but he still is top 10 definitely. And he still, if he wants to, barring punishment that he's taking in his long-term health, if he still wants to, there's paydays to be made for him.
For sure. No, absolutely. Absolutely. If he wants to, he can continue doing it, but one time for Luis Ortiz. I mean, what a dude. Like
hip, hip.
What a story. Hooray! Oh, AJ, I don't know if we ever going to let you live that one down, buddy. That was rough. Oh, man. But that's why Andy Ruiz is over AJ right there.
Oh, boy.
But look, one time for dude, salute to him on what he's done. I think he put up a great fight. The card itself was actually a pretty entertaining card. The fight with Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz is a powerhouse. Amazing leaping left hook KO. I mean, that dude is a problem. He continues saying Ryan Garcia's ducking him, and I'm gonna be very honest with you. I would be very excited to watch that fight. Also, Abner Mares.
Wait, can we stay there for a second?
As well. Yeah, please, let's go.
Can we stay there for a second? So, Isaac Cruz.
Yeah.
Good, solid, up-and-coming fighter. Would love to see that fight with Ryan Garcia. But do not give me this shit about a rematch with Tank.
No.
Tank, that's something that people on boxing Twitter have legitimately been talking about. Tank beat this man with one hand. I did not think it was too difficult a fight for Tank at all. I know people say that Tank was challenged, but he was fighting with one hand, and when he was fighting with 2 hands, he was absolutely dominating this man. So I don't want to hear anything about that. But after the fight, Tank hears some of the commentary. He says, hey, Isaac Cruz needs to fight Rolly. Now that is a fight I want to see. That's a great fight. Tank in his matchmaker bag very early in his career, but that is a fight I would love to see. Isaac Cruz versus Rolly. I don't think it'll happen, but book that fight and consider me tuned in.
Oh, Isaac Cruz versus Rolly, sign me the fuck up. Oh shit, I don't got me on the screen. take my money. Okay, if you put them in a fight, it would be a wildly entertaining fight. I would love to watch that.
Put that on Crawford Spence. I mean, it's too soon. I guess they just fought, but like that's a good pay-per-view undercard fight. Like a great pay-per-view undercard fight.
Perfect. That is what you want to see if you want to see a pay-per-view undercard. Great call, bro. I love that. Like that. Honestly, look, I keep hearing rumors of that fight, but if it ever comes to fruition, we will absolutely tell you guys here first. All right. Abner Mares looked great first half of his fight, first fight in like 4 years. For him to come back, put in a good performance against a only once beaten fighter, end up fighting a draw, kind of gassed out after the first half of the fight. Regardless, cool, good on him for getting back out there and getting on the horse. All right, a little bit of fight news that came out this week. Before we get into we'll finish off today, guys, with the fight that hopefully happens this weekend. But we got to talk about this biggest fight announcement of the week. And Jake Paul versus Anderson Silva was officially announced really quick. Let me put a date right here while we're talking about it. It is going to be in October, I want to say, right? Give me a second.
Yeah.
It is October, September.
29th, I believe it is.
Yep.
It's October 29th, I believe it is.
October 29th.
Yes. It is October 29th.
Yep, October 29th.
In Glendale, Arizona.
Yep, which is a really, I don't want to say a fight hub, but there's been a lot more fights happening down there, and people are enjoying fights in Arizona. I'm not opposed to it. It's a vibe. You know what I'm saying? Go to the desert, have a good time.
Arizona definitely is a vibe.
Arizona's a vibe, bro. If you've never been to Arizona, you gotta go. Like
it's oddly a vibe. Like you don't expect it.
Not at all. But every time I've been, where have you gone over there?
Only been once, and I went to Scottsdale.
See, Scottsdale's cool. I drove past it, but I went to I was in the desert. Where this like, oh fuck, now I'm fucking. See, now I gotta look it up and shit because I ain't gonna sit here and bring it up and not have it in, right?
Fuck, we got 13 minutes.
It's okay. We got this shit. Cities in Arizona. But regardless, that fight's happening. While I look that up, let me ask you this, man. What are your thoughts in this announcement? People are hype about it. Some people don't care. Where are you on this?
Well, I'll go first. And I know your opinion. We've spoke about it this week, and I hear this from a lot of people. Oh my gosh, Jake Paul should be fighting a boxer. I don't think that's fair. I just don't think that's fair this time. Jake Paul has tried to fight Tommy Fury twice. Tommy Fury has pulled out of the fight on 2 different occasions. Then he books the fight with Hasim Rahman Jr.
Right.
Whatever your opinion is on that situation, from the facts that we know, from the facts that we can confirm, Hasim Rahman could not make the weight, and so that is Hasim Rahman's fault.
Which we understand.
He needs to take kind of that is 3 different occasions on which he's tried to fight a real boxer. So people are mad about Anderson Silva. However, if he would have fought Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., people would have been just fine with that.
Absolutely.
But Anderson Silva beat Chavez Jr. this year. So why are we so mad about
this year or last year?
That was this year, I believe. I'll confirm for you. No, I don't have it in front of me. That was... I'm sorry, June 2021.
Okay, that's all. Okay, that's all.
He knocked out Tito Ortiz this year.
That shit was hilarious.
Yeah, but I mean, he's beat a legitimate boxer. So if he's beat Chavez Jr. and you guys would have been happy with Chavez Jr., shouldn't you guys be happier with Anderson Silva?
Wait. Don't be saying you guys. Like you be out here trying to pit me like as the MMA guy against the boxing guy or something.
Now, when I say you guys, I'm saying I've heard people say this. This is what I've heard. This is what I've seen on the Twitter machine.
And so by the way, it's Sedona, Arizona that I've been to. Sedona is absolutely gorgeous.
I was gonna say Sedona. I thought it was in Cali. But yeah, either way, Jake Paul, Anderson Silva. This is a fight that I'm very excited for. This is also a fight that I do not see Jake Paul winning. One of the stats that one of the boxing reporters, and I wish I could cite him right now, released early this week, is that Jake Paul has never seen more than 36 punches in a single round. And over the last 2 rounds of his last fight, Anderson Silva let off something like over 130 punches. So it's a step up in competition. The way Anderson Silva fights is very fluid. Jake Paul has never seen movement like Anderson Silva is going to exhibit. So I think it's going to be very difficult for Jake Paul to get off that power against someone who's not going to be stationary. They're not going to be standing in front of him. He's going to get angles for the first time in his career. That's something we talk about at a very high level. Anderson Silva, he's a great striker. He can give you angles, whether in the cage or the boxing ring. He's going to give Jake Paul a ton of angles, and he's going to end up knocking out Jake Paul. That is my prediction for the fight. Early prediction, but I am excited for it. I will be tuned in. Sergio, how you feeling?
Well, look, I would love to see Jake Paul, and again, I don't think people give him enough fault for the Hasim Rahman thing. I think you have to let somebody get to the finish line before you. I don't care if he did the day before thing that you cannot pull the carpet out from under him. That's the way I look at it. You signed a contract that says you're gonna get to this date. Let the man get to that date. But regardless, whatever, it didn't come to fruition. It is what it is. Moving forward with this fight, yes, I still want to see him fight a boxer, but you're absolutely correct, and I can't discount that. Anderson Silva is a problem. Granted, Anderson Silva is still in his mid-40s, but
late.
He's active. Yeah, he's 47, I believe. But you're right. He is a naturally bigger guy than Jake is. He's faster than Jake. He has better boxing than Jake. And I'll be honest with you, I'm with you 100%. I give Jake help. I give him props for this, though. I will say that. For him to go out there and have the balls to go out there and fight Anderson Silva, 1,000% mad props. If we look at what Jake did in his last few rounds against Tyron Woodley, he has zero gas tank, and he doesn't put his punches together at all. Anderson Silva is going to make that dude look like Tito Ortiz. I'm just being honest with you. He's going to go out there and shred dude up, but I'm here for it. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The build-up might even be more fun. I think it's going to be great. I really do. I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
I don't know if they're doing 2-minute rounds or 3-minute rounds, but I think it'll be early. I think it'll be like first 2-3 rounds.
I think so, too. I think he blazes his ass. I think he's going to go out there and just starch Jake Paul. And then we'll be at the end of the Jake Paul experiment. And then you know what happens, and I cannot wait for this to happen. And he already spoke on this, and I can see it absolutely happening. You know what that is?
No.
Anderson Silva wins. We're going to get Anderson Silva versus Roy Jones Jr. We are. Roy's already talked about it. Anderson's been wanting that fight since the early 2000s. That fight will actually finally come to fruition if and when Anderson Silva wins. I'm telling you, you heard it here first.
I'm not going to go too deep in fantasy land. But at this point, for me, it's all
not
about
even
October.
fantasy land. That both of them have said it.
But we're getting into the metaverse with all these celebrities and boxing and old school people.
Dude, I just saw that Adrian Peterson is boxing Le'Veon Bell.
No, they cut the fight. I think they cut the fight.
Why, bro? They were out there today, like pushing each other in a press conference.
Was today. Maybe they are doing it. It was another fight. Swaggy P, his fight got cut.
Oh, well, it was supposed to be on that card too. But dude, real quick before we move, what are your thoughts on all these type of fights? Are you here for it, against it, don't care, indifferent?
If there is a promoter that is making more than he or she is spending, then there's going to be a market for these fights, and that's just what it is.
It is what it is. The only thing I don't like about it with some of these guys, like with Jake and Logan and stuff, they were even like KSI, they were still showing a level of respect for the sport itself. You know what I'm saying? And they're still they're holding the sport high. These guys are kind of making a mockery of it. It looks like shit. Like they're just out there just trying to fight, and you got dudes slapping each other in the press conference. That shit look like Russia. Like them clips you see of dudes at the pressers whipping each other's ass. Like that's what it looks. It looks terrible. Like have some respect for the sport. I don't want to sound like the old dude yelling into the wind, but I do love combat sports, and what I'm looking at now is just bullshit.
I mean, hey,
There's a market for it, though. I hear you. There is a market.
Just to put the bullshit market in perspective, we did have Don King promote a title heavyweight fight for this year. It was the WBA regular title, not the super title. But Don King promoted a shitty looking fight. I mean, so let's just put things in perspective. We have our own mishaps, and MMA across the board. We do have smaller promotions. They don't always look the best, and it just is what it is at this point.
At this point, you're right. It absolutely is what it is. All right, moving right along. Let's go ahead and actually talk about anything else you want to say about that specifically. Or are you good? Nah, perfect. All right, moving right along to honestly the biggest news of the weekend that we truly do hope ends up happening. Clarissa Shields, the self-proclaimed GOAT, is going out there against the woman who actually beat her in the amateurs, albeit super long ago. Savannah Marshall, who was actually undefeated in the pros as well. Both undefeated fighters, both honestly running through anybody that they fought as a pro. This honestly is the most, in my opinion, most anticipated fight of the year in terms of women's boxing, aside from obviously we had the fight, the amazing fight with Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano. This is the other most anticipated fight. I think this is also the best possible available fight for Clarissa Shields. Guru, how do you feel about this matchup? How excited are you for this? Don't give me your prediction and the breakdown. Just excitement level, the build up. This point, how are you feeling?
2022 should be remembered as such a big step in the sport of women's boxing. So early this year, we had Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. At that point in time,
number 2, pound for pound women in the world.
At that time, probably the biggest fight in the sport of women's boxing. Here, you have a fight card that actually tops that, because you have two high-level women's fights on the same card. Not only do you have Clarissa Shields versus Savannah Marshall, but you also have Alicia Baumgartner versus Michaela Mayer. So two very high-level championship fights, and that's how you put a card together. And I heard Michaela Mayer do an interview. She knew exactly what she was doing, because they gave her an option to get on this card or go either the next week after or the week before. And she was like, she didn't want to take any steam away from this moment. She wanted to be on this card. She wanted to be a part of this moment, and she wanted to make sure this moment happened. So shout out to Michaela Mayer for for allowing this moment to happen, and for us to get a great women's card this weekend. I am super excited for it. Almost more excited than I was for Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. Actually, I'll go ahead and say it. I am more excited for this card than I was Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano. So really, really looking forward to it.
Yeah. I echo the same sentiment, man. I am honestly, like, the co-main event to me is the people's main event. Like, I love that fight. I think it is going to be such an entertaining fight, but at the same time, the main event is going to be a wildly entertaining fight also. I'm very curious to see how each of these two women really break down the puzzle of the other one. If someone beats somebody in the amateurs way back when, it doesn't mean anything. Sean Porter beat Alexander Usyk in the amateurs. It is what it is. That shit was back in the day, right? The amateur game is also extremely different from the pro game, even in the women. Granted, women, please, whoever's running women boxing, this 2-minute rounds is so archaic, and it is so ridiculous. We need to get rid of these 2-minute rounds. Look what the women in the UFC and MMA fight 5-minute rounds. Come on, like there's no difference, and we will get honestly better decisions and better outcomes, and we will really know who the best in the world are. Regardless, I don't want to even go down.
And when we say better decisions and better outcomes, what we really mean is more knockouts.
Yeah, but again, we would definitely see more finishes if we had that. And again, we would actually see like a little bit more grit and toughness from people. We would see more fights like this past Katie Taylor, Amanda Serrano fight. But regardless, I think this is going to be a really great fight. These women do have a number of shared opponents. And the interesting thing in that is that, and I've always said it, one woman has power, one does it. It's a different, I think I absolutely believe that Clarissa Shields is by far the better boxer of the two. But Savannah Marshall does have that finishing ability. So, in terms of the fight itself, before we get out of here, how do you see the fight going? Don't give me your prediction yet. Just how do you see the fight going?
Well, I got to tell you how the fight is going without a prediction. You
Go
kind
ahead.
of
You know
tied
what?
my
Fuck it. Go
hands.
ahead. Just let me know. Tell me everything. Tell me everything. Tell me because I was just gonna have you wait to the end, but no, just tell me everything.
Yeah, I see it being a competitive fight, but I just see Clarissa Shields making the most out of her moments. I think she's going to be able to get in and out with that jab. I think her hands are much quicker than Savannah Marshall's, and I think she's going to be able to take advantage of that speed deficiency. So as long as she stays mindful of her defense, we do know that she can bring out head movement when she puts her mind to it. I think Clarissa Shields is going to get a decision win, and I think it's going to be as simple as that. I don't think we see a repeat of the amateurs. I listened to an interview with Franchon DeZone. I'm sorry, hold on. Franchon Cruz DeJean this week. She's a champion in her own right. She may even be the undisputed super middleweight world champion right now in women's boxing. She's actually been in the ring with both of them, I think, as a sparring partner for Savannah Marshall. She took a loss to Clarissa Shields. She thinks that Savannah Marshall's style is much better fit for the amateurs. That's why it just does not translate as well to the pros. She did not make it.
Yeah.
She does not make it to the finals in the 2012 Olympics. She did not make it to the finals in the 2016 Olympics. In the same division that Clarissa Shields was in, she won gold medals in both of those Olympics. So I do think, and Clarissa Shields has had the spotlight on her. She's fought higher level opponents than Savannah Marshall has fought. She does have a couple. They do have a couple shared opponents, and Savannah Marshall was able to put those girls down. But I think there's levels, and I just think Clarissa Shields at this point in her career is a cut above Savannah Marshall, and I think we're going to see that play out on Saturday.
The buildup has been interesting because in the buildup to this fight, I think Savannah Marshall has gotten the better of the press conferences, if that means anything. I really do. I think she's been more quick-witted than her. I think what she's been saying has been more poignant, but that's just my POV. You can have a different one. It's totally fine.
Go ahead.
No, please.
I was going to say, in boxing, the reason we love this sport, one of the many reasons we love this sport is because the fight can end at any time. You can be dominating, you can be winning, and one punch, the fight is over. And when Clarissa Shields says, you let your entire country down, we couldn't even get that rematch because you lost on the first day, I was like,
that was a good one. That was a good one.
I think Clarissa killed the queen right then. That might have been that might have been it.
That's what killed the queen.
That might have been it.
Yo, we us Americans, we ain't shit. They mourning over there. We over here cracking jokes. Yo, fuck your queen. That's fucked up how we out there like that. But it is what it is. Yo, she promoted she represented, colonizers around the world. So fuck out of here. All right. Real quick, this is what I'll say about it when I was getting at. I think that, look, with all that being said, press conferences and everything go, I don't think that's going to mean shit. I really do believe that Clarissa Shields goes out here, not only gets the win, I think she gets the win emphatically. I think she has a point to prove. I've watched a little bit of her training. It looks like she's trying to sit down a little bit more on some of her punches. I think she might be trying to go out here and actually hurt this girl. I think you're right. I went back and I started watching some film of Savannah Marshall. I just think she's too slow, to be honest with you. I just think she's too slow. She has timing. I'm trying to think of this guy's name, Baltimore, something like that. But he fought Floyd Mayweather way back in the day, and he was a guy who walked around like
Carlos Baltimore.
Baltimore, yeah, and Baltimore was slow as shit.
I got you.
But thank you, man. I appreciate that. But he was slow as shit. But what he did have was amazing timing, and that's something that I've seen from Savannah Marshall. That's why she's knocking these women out, because she has great timing, regardless of her speed. But I think Clarissa Shields hurts her. I think she does get the decision win. That's just me. But and I think this is going to be one that I have had question marks for Clarissa. I don't think she has power, and it's always funny because in the men's game, if a dude don't got power, you're burying him. I don't think he got power. I don't think he's that good. In Clarissa's sake, you know what I'm saying? It's the other way around. I'm like, she don't got no pop. I don't see it. You know what I'm saying? But I give her props as a combat sports athlete. I give her props as an Olympian. And I think her shit talk is terrible. But again, you ain't never going to get me out here on my show fucking picking against a black woman against a white woman. That shit ain't going to happen. That shit ain't gonna happen. Clarissa Shields for the win, all right, and Alicia
Well,
Bumgardner as well.
I was about to say I'll give you a chance to because I'm picking my heart. In more ways than
My
one
heart
is with Alicia Bumgarner. Check your DMs, girl.
Yes, it
but
is.
but I am picking Michaela Mayer for that fight.
I can't do it. But in that one, I think I like Michaela Mayer. I think Michaela Mayer is very good. I think she's extremely skilled. And one thing that Michaela Mayer does though is that sometimes she doesn't utilize her height, and she will get herself into a fight. She'll stay in her chest and get into a brawl. I think if she does that with Alicia Bumgarner, she might get knocked out.
Yeah, very likely. And Baumgartner does have that type of power that can stop a fight at any time. We've seen it with Terry Harper when she won the belt.
Yep.
But I mean, it's not every fight that she's landing Deontay Wilder type of punches. And I think boxing fundamentals when it comes to picking fights, we're typically going to pick the fighter with more tools in the toolbox. And I just think I've seen Baumgartner. She 1-2 all day. She's very fast. She has a lot of power, but it's 1-2
more athletic.
1-2 forward and backwards. Michaela Mayer can do a lot inside the ring. She has a lot of amateur pedigree, and I think those things will start to show over the course of a 10-round fight.
Yeah, no, that's actually real, and I hate to say it, I feel like I was picking a little bit with my heart on that one, and I think you're absolutely correct. I think Michaela probably does get her, but if you are going out there for a bet, a knockout might be a good bet for on Bumgarner. If you're, I don't know what the odds are on that, but that might be worth putting some cash on.
And I also like between Clarissa Shields and Baumgartner, they've done a great. Both, by the way, that's Michigan, Detroit, and Flint. Michigan showing up in UK this weekend, but they've both done a really, really good job carrying the promotion.
Yes, they have. Absolutely. Salute to both of them. I mean, really, be whatever. Taking the heel roll or whatever you want to call it, they're going out there, they're talking the talk, they're walking the walk, and they're going to enemy territory. I mean, granted, so is Michaela Mayer technically, but you know what I mean? They're going to go over there and put on a show. I'm the fact that women are getting highlighted like this, the fact that we've been able to spend 20 minutes speaking about women's boxing is amazing. I love every second of that. All right, but with that being said, we already made our picks. Y'all know what it is. It's been another episode of the Guru's Corner.
It has been another episode of the Guru's Corner. Thank you to all our listeners. I know Serge is almost at 1,000 subscribers. Let's get to it ASAP so we can get on to the next goal, 5,000, 10,000. But we are growing every single day. And Serge, as always, thank you for having me.
My brother. Always a pleasure, man. Again, make sure you listen to us everywhere podcasting is available. Apple, Google Play, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher. Also, check out our merch. We have hoodies, mugs, everything. You can see it at The Fight Podcast on IG if you have any questions. But check it. It's etsy.com/shop/The Fight Pod Shop. Check that out. B, thank you very much, my brother. And everybody else, we will see you guys next time right here on The Fight Podcast Guru's Corner. Peace out.